UK is very much a stickler when it comes to construction. Unlike here in Brazil, where if you want to build a house, you build a house. Right? If the house collapses and it's your fault, then you are responsible for the harm or damages to third parties. As for sure, the building would not have any insurance as officially it doesn't exist. That's here in Brazil,
Yes.
right? That's how things roll in the northeast of Brazil. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Larger constructions, of course, have to be declared, and the planta, the plans, they have to be gone over by a civil engineer. So just to make it clear, all apartment blocks and major constructions are safe, but smaller dwellings, well, the people take the chances, especially in the outskirts and rural areas.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'm honest about. I think I'm being honest when I say that.
Yeah.
But back to the UK. Even to erect a garden shed, you need planning permission in some cases.
Yeah.
So one can imagine the diplomatic frustration the Chinese and the British government has when it comes to reforming the Chinese embassy in London, and indeed the building of the British embassy in China. Both have reached stalemate because of an issue of floor plans. Okay. Well, Chinese floor plans, to be more precise. The Chinese ambassador is wanting to create a two-level basement area underneath the Chinese embassy in London. However, part of the floor plans for the reform have been greyed out, which means that government would rather not say to what use that level under the embassy will be used for. Yeah. Because of this, the British government cannot approve the planning application because they don't know what it's for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. This in turn is making the Chinese government reluctant to grant the UK permission to build its embassy in Beijing. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, sort of.
Yeah.
Now, one would have thought that perhaps China would lie as to the use of their basement space. After all, everybody will have diplomatic immunity anyway, so just to approve the application and then do what they think fit instead of continually wrangling about details that are obviously secretive. And this has been going on since 2022.
Yeah.
But they have it. You know, the Chinese government are wanting to reforms underneath their actual building in London. The British government are saying, well, what's it for? And they're saying, we can't tell you.
Yeah.
And so the British government can't give them planning permission.
Yeah.
And because of this, the government in China is saying, well, if we can't, neither can you.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And this is why, folks, that governments, they work so well.
Well, yes. I'm laughing, but it's probably a very serious issue in itself. Actually, fair play to the Chinese, because they've been quite honest about it. Yeah, we want to build these two levels, but we don't want you knowing about them. It might even be a deliberate thing to stop. Yeah, it might be a bit of a game they're playing as well. I mean, I remember watching years ago a segment in a documentary or a program or something about the Cold War and things they were doing with the Russian embassies and things like that. And in the brickwork, somehow they managed to build listening devices and things like that, which is away from this a bit. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's possibly, I think it's established that every embassy around the world, anywhere, has the ability to do some espionage work. Yeah. And I think that's the game everyone knows and plays a bit, yeah. Or either that, or the Chinese might want to put an unlicensed nightclub or some other sort of place underneath there. You remember in Victorian England, you used to have Chinese opium dens, yeah. Yeah, it's
for members only.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, but I don't know, or it could be preparation for a nuclear shelter of sorts. Yeah, I mean, okay, they've said, yeah, I mean, they're probably in there thinking, well, we only got to say how we're going to build it. Yeah, it's not going to collapse, which again is why you have planning permission. And like you say, well, in which case, just say we're building a games room there. Yeah, for our staff and be
Simplest
done
thing,
with
innit?
it. Yeah, be done with it. you know, um, although there could be planning issues with that. Or what sort of games room? None of your business. Yeah. Um, yeah, this is our pleasure room. yeah. Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. Um, again, yeah, I think it's interesting. And yes, they're going to stop it in the British doing things in China and Beijing in retaliation. That's might be what it's all about. I mean, we don't know what the British are up to. Maybe the Chinese, like you say, don't are making a point is, well, we don't know exactly what all your rooms are for. Yeah. We're just making a very definite point that we're aware of this. Um, yeah, I imagine if you went into probably went down there, went and had a look in there, and you'd probably see a James Bond type setup of all these screens and everything else. Yeah. Um, and I mean, who knows? I think it's quite, like you say, I think it's quite amusing. It might even be a little bit more common than we know between governments. It's like you say, this is why governments don't work
Right.
or don't work. Um, again, would that necessarily be at government level? It would have to be the local planning authority who are responsible for signing things off, usages off. I don't know how it worked with embassies. I'm
No,
still
don't know.
imagining that if you're going to be building somewhere, the local planning authority would need to know about it. And then they'd probably make a decision in this case to escalate it up to ask if everybody was comfortable with what was going on. And especially when you're going down into basements, because we've had to remember some wealthier people in London have tried to build basement extensions and it's collapsed
That's moving.
everything. Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, it could be anything. Even if it's a storage facility, what you're going to be storing there.
Well,
Yeah.
and look, I don't know why the Chinese just didn't say, it's for storage, or like you said, it's a games room, or like you said, it's just some more office space,
I think they're
and left it at that, and showed the floor plans. But the thing is that the floor plans, I think it's called.
yeah.
So, if they're wanting to do two levels, as long as they don't go bore through a tube tunnel,
Mm.
you know, um,
No,
I've just said that and just done what they want with it afterwards.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know about this about tube levels. Yeah, the London Underground need to be informed. I used to work on there, and they have if there's construction above or anywhere else, they have movement detectors across the section to make sure
Yeah,
nothing's
yeah,
happening. Um, yeah, it is a I think it's an interesting little case. It's a bit of take to take, what is going on. Um, yeah, like you say, I think the Chinese are playing just having a little bit of a game with the British. Maybe they don't want the amendment done in done to the British embassy in Beijing, so they're saying, right, we don't really care if we build this or not. Yeah, they've probably put a fake um planning permission order in or something like that just to make a point. Yeah, we're going to stop you doing anything here anyway. Um, the last I heard is that there's actually a threat that they're going to be joining, withdrawing diplomats from China anyway. But I don't know how true that was. Yeah, for me, it's a little bit of fun. It's an amusing story.
yeah.
Um, I don't think any of us should lose any sleep over it. There's probably one guy in the in the planning office is ripping his hair out over all this because he's still got to go through the motions and everything else. This poor technician there, planning technician. Well, what do I do with this? And the British government, he's not getting direct answers from the British government or the Chinese government. Yeah. And it's probably still sitting in, it probably goes in and out of his inbox and outbox and inbox and outbox. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I imagine the British government saying it's not only it's not the Chinese are saying it's not only the British that do red tape.
yeah. Yeah, real capable of it. Um, yeah, I mean, I think even in fairness, I think the British actually give the Americans a hard time with their embassies and things. Probably why the other one got built right out in the sticks somewhere in cheaper land. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
look, if the government uses that as their sort of modus operandi,
Mm.
it's probably why the governments are usually lagging behind the rest of the world. That's all I can say.
Well, I think at best politics is sometimes a game that gets played, and I think this is a political thing by the Chinese and possibly the British as well. Yeah.
Who ends up paying the piper is unfortunately the public.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. You got the technicians. It wastes local government time to do it. Yeah, I think when you put planning permission in, you have to send a fee as well, if I remember rightly, from things. But yeah, it's. I think it's just one of these things. Um, yeah, I think that, as you said, I think the Chinese are just making a point. I don't think they really care too much about it. Um, it's like you say. I would have put, well, it's a oh, you could just sort of say it's a breakout room for our staff because they get too stressed sometimes. So we're going to build a breakout room. But breakout rooms normally have natural light and everything. You don't normally put them in basements.
Well, the breakout room was normally on the top floor, but too many were jumping out the window, so put it in the basement.